This is the Empowered Women Show, episode number 14.
Welcome to the Empowered Women Show, inspiring women with small voices but big dreams to step up and fulfill their extraordinary potential. And now your host, Casey Lightbody.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Empowered Women Show. I'm your host, Casey Lightbody, and today's guest is Teri Haass. Teri is the founder of the Healthy Living from the Inside Out. She's a former food addict and sugar junkie who found a way to break the dieting cycle, to lose the weight and finally achieve the happy, healthy life she's always wanted. Now a certified life coach, Teri's on a mission to help other women follow in her footsteps and achieve the active mind and body they've always wanted. Welcome to the show, Teri. I can't wait to dive into your story.
Oh, hi, Casey. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
It's my pleasure. So, Teri, I'd like to kind of go back to what it was like before you kind of decided to actually make that shift and to start losing the weight and break that constant kind of dieting cycle, as you called it. What was it like for you back then?
It was pretty rough. I had really low self-esteem. Once I started having kids is when I started having weight issues. Right. And I started with the dieting and, it never worked, and I wasn't, people would say, you're not fat, but my self-image was awful. Right. Okay. And so, I felt really bad about myself and I think that's where I became more introverted because I didn't want to be in public. I just, life was good and everything, but my self-image was awful.
Right.
So that's, and it stayed with me for 30 years. I reached the point where I knew I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to just quit dieting and become a total sloth and just let it go, right. Or figure something else out.
Okay. So what was that? So you said 30 years, which is an incredibly long time to kind of be in that space, Teri. So what was what happened? What was the shift that occurred for you to kind of start? I mean, you're looking amazing now. So what was the shift that happened to make you break the cycle?
I got tired of being depressed. I got tired of waking up every morning, stepping on the scale and letting the scale ruin my day. Right. I was sick and tired of the whole, you'd lose the weight and you'd feel great. And then a month later you'd start gaining it again, and I tried the pills and the starvation and over exercising and just, like I said, my body image, my self-image, my self-esteem. I mean, I felt terrible, mm-hmm. and so, my kids grew up and became adults, right. Started their own lives. And that was when I knew that I had to do something. I had to start thinking about myself. I wanted to, I was thinking about a career of some kind or whatever. And that is when I fell into life coaching. I discovered life coaching. Okay. So I, for a year and a half, I studied and I got my certification. Right. And I didn't actively seek clients at that time. I decided to work on myself. Okay. So I took what I learned from life coaching and all of the skills that I learned and everything, and I applied it to myself. Right. And so that's where I literally did wake up one day and I felt awful and I knew that I had to do something. I knew that something needed to be done. And so I did. I actually was listening to the television and a nutritionist came on and she started talking about healthy eating and I almost turned it off. Okay. And then I thought, I'm going to listen to it. And I did. And I just thought, what do I have to lose? And so I cleaned out my pantry and I started eating healthy and one thing led to another and that was it.
So that was the really shift. So you really had to get to the bottom. Like you woke up that day, and it was like, the bottom, the deepest level that you could go. And it was at that point, amazingly, that fate appeared with that advert on TV, and that was kind of the turning point for you, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, rock bottom, I guess, is what they call it. And some people think of it like, gosh, that's just so stupid. I mean, just because you're a little overweight or whatever, how could you let that bother you so much? And to be honest with you, I don't know how I could let that bother me so much. I mean, I still don't understand the complete, how I let it get so bad. I mean, I just did. It's that the ups and downs of the diet, what they call the dieting roller coaster, and I don't know why I waited so long to consider healthy eating. It's just one of those things that you just don't think about until you've tried everything.
Right. So. Yeah, absolutely, Teri. So you started turning your life around. You started applying the skills that you learned within life coaching, as well as kind of embracing healthy living. And can you walk us through the steps that you took, from that point to now creating your business, which is Healthy Living from the Inside Out? How did you get from there to the point of opening your business?
Well, I coached myself. During all this time, I was going to the gym. I was working out and everything. And I didn't know where the life coaching was going to take me. I didn't know where the certificate was going to take me. And I was helping my husband with his business. And so I was busy. And I was happy that I was able to use it on myself and started my own transformation. Yeah. But when I started going to the gym, the ladies at the gym started asking me, wow, you're looking great. You look happy. You're glowing. Look how much weight you lost. What have you been doing? And I was telling them, what I was doing and everything. And some of them wanted to know exactly what I was doing and how I was doing it. And I just kind of started thinking, gee, if they are interested in this, maybe there's other people that are interested in this. But I didn't do anything about it. I'm a procrastinator, and I just kind of let it stew around in there for a while. And I started thinking about it more and more. And then I realized that I had made a program for myself, and maybe there were other women that were interested in my program. So I sat down and putting it to paper, and then one thing kind of led to another. Okay, so now I've got this program, so how do I get it out there? So it actually was a very slow process because, like I said, I'm a procrastinator. It was a very slow process, but the more I got into it, the more I just kept going with it. Fantastic. And again, one thing it took on a life of its own. One thing just kind of led to another, and here I am.
I love that advice that you've just spoken about, Teri, because I think that's true for many entrepreneurs. Well, there's a couple of points that I want to touch on, actually. But the first one that you raised is that it's that momentum comes before clarity. So that's what I love that you've just been speaking about, is that you've taken that next step, not really knowing where it's going to take you, but you've taken that first step, so that then, as you build on that momentum, you become more and more clear on your path, really. And that's kind of what's happened to you. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't even know that this was the direction I was heading in. I just saw myself going somewhere. I just kept thinking, geez, maybe I ought to sit down and write this out. And then as I'm writing it, I thought, geez, maybe I could actually turn this into something. And, again, one thing just kind of led to another, and it just kind of takes on a life of its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that you raised is the procrastination. I think I find so often with women, and especially quiet women, is that they procrastinate. But whether that's a case of procrastinating because they kind of don't know that next step, or that they're trying to be perfect, or they're actually just too scared to kind of take that next step, is oftentimes what holds women back, I think. And so, do you think that was any, you said that you're a procrastinator. Does any of those things resonate with you, Teri?
All three of them. That's me. Seriously. That's it. All the way across, I was scared, I didn't know, I was afraid of the unknown, obviously. Didn't think I could do it. Didn't know where I was going. It was everything. It was everything you mentioned. Yes, that's me. And it was, why would I put myself out there? What are you doing? So yes, it was all of that. Exactly. You said it best. You did.
I love that, and I think that's really good. You just raised another really great point, is that just having the courage to take that first step gets you out of that procrastination mode. I think, so, great advice from you. I think for our listeners is that if you are kind of listening to yourself and finding yourself procrastinating, kind of figuring out, well, why am I procrastinating? What's kind of holding me back? Is it because I don't know what my next step is? Is it because I'm too scared? Is it because I don't know where I'm going? And just figuring out what that next one step is and actioning it will kind of start giving you that clarity that you're looking for, and giving you the confidence to take the next step and the next step and the next step, really.
Right. I agree. Yep. I agree completely. I mean, because I started out knowing nothing. Okay. I mean, the most I knew about the internet at the time was, how to shop and read the news, and, I have, I'm not a big Facebooker. I have like 30 friends. They're all family for the most part, so I knew nothing, so that was one of the things that scared me. But it like I said, it almost, when you believe in something, it almost takes on, it takes on a life of its own. If you firmly believe in something, it begins to take on a life of its own. And you just, you start going online and you just start researching and clicking and you'll read a quote and then you'll want to find out who the person is that wrote the quote, or you'll read an article and it's like, oh, I agree with everything they said. Who are they? And again, one step just kind of leads to another, and you find yourself knowing more than you actually think you do. I mean, you're learning as you go, and you find yourself, and then you have your support system also. I had a wonderful support system. My family is supportive. My friends are supportive. The ladies at the gym were cheering me on, so, all of that is just so important.
Absolutely. Oh, I think that's fantastic, Teri. I think, and you've said it best, is really connecting to your big why. So why are you really doing, if you can connect to the reason that you're actually doing this, and that it's so important to you to share your message, and when you let that kind of become more important than the fears that are holding you back, is when you can kind of start building on that momentum as well.
That's true. Yep.
So Teri, what does it feel like now? You've taken the plunge into entrepreneurship, and it's certainly not an easy journey, but what does it mean to you now to be an entrepreneur? Because you shared with us your message. It's an important one to you. And what does it mean to you and your family being an entrepreneur now?
I'm going to be honest with you, Casey. I don't really think of myself as an entrepreneur yet. I really don't. I'm still at the beginning stages of it. My website has only been up for, I think only 2 or 3 months. I'm enjoying it immensely, and I am an entrepreneur, but I'm an entrepreneur in progress, I guess you would call it. My family is extremely proud of me. Everybody's really glad. They are beginning to think more healthy and start, listening and reading and finding out about stuff. So that thrills me. But at this point, I'm still not really thinking of myself. I am, but I'm not thinking along those terms. I am still thinking that there are women out there that need to hear this. And I'm figuring that somewhere along the line, it's going to turn into a business, and it will. I know it will. But I'm still just thinking, I got to get out there. I got to keep moving forward and get my message out there, and let women in particular see that they can do this, that they can become healthy and happy and thin. And it has absolutely nothing to do with dieting. And that is just what's so important to me. So I guess I honestly don't think of myself as I am a businesswoman. Don't misunderstand me. I am. But I really just think of myself, I guess, as an advocate, maybe. I mean, I just have to get it out there. That's it.
But it is, and I think because you're so connected to your why, Teri, you're connected to, as you said, this advocacy of healthy living. It's just such an important message to you to get out there, and you're going to make such an impact in the world that I truly think that you're going to go places. So that's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. If I could just say this though, it takes a while sometimes to find out your why. It took me years. I had no idea, and like I said, you get a little hint of something, and it kind of sticks in your head, and it just won't leave, and it just starts to grow. And by keeping an open mind and like I said, the women at the gym and my sister and people were just, cheering me on and asking questions and everything. And I kept an open mind about it. The why just doesn't, it can jump out at you. I know it can. And for some people it does, like what you call the aha moment or whatever. But for me, it was just very gradual. But I never shut it off completely. I just always had something in the back of my head and I just kind of followed it. But it wasn't one aha. People have.
But I love that advice too, is just keep an open mind, because that aha moment could come from any aspect in your life. It may come from a completely unexpected place, So I think keeping that open mind is great advice, Teri. So what do you think, we've covered off on a lot of stuff, but I really wanted to kind of revisit these challenges of becoming an entrepreneur with you. We've spoken about the kind of probably the self-doubt is the big one, Teri. But for you, what would you say has there been one particular challenge that's really stood out in your mind, that's really stopped you from going to that next step or taking that next step? And what was it, if you could share that with us?
There wasn't anything that actually stopped me. It's come close, well, obviously, because I'm still here, but the closest thing to that is what you said, the self-doubt, the negative thinking, the thinking, why am I doing this? Why would anyone want to listen to anything that I have to say? And waking up in the morning and not feeling like I know enough. Like I'm educated enough, like I speak clearly. And why would anyone want to know what I have to say? And then I would start thinking, because you've done it, because you've lived it. And if I could just say, one of the most important things that I did to get me out of the negative self-thinking was I hired a coach myself. I did. Yeah. I hired a coach, because I wanted to keep moving forward, but I said, boy, I beat myself up terribly, and I didn't want to stop. I had come so far, at least in my terms, I had come so far, and I just didn't want to stop. So I hired a coach, and I have a wonderful community, online, that I work with. And that is so important, because having your family and friends is great, but having people that are doing what you're doing and truthful and want you to succeed and listen to you is just so important. So important.
That's great advice, Teri. I love those steps, because I think you bang on. I think it's essential in business, especially when you're at the beginning stages and kind of feeling your way around, is that getting that advice from a coach, and as well as not only a coach in terms of giving you strategic advice, but also championing you along the way. Because I talk about having champions behind you, because it's impossible to do on your own. I really do believe that, is that when you can build that support network around you, both family and friends, which are great, but usually they're not going to give you the constructive criticism on the other side, So
that's it exactly.
So it's great to have a mix of both, have your champions and certainly have the strategic advice of a coach as well. So what have been your lessons learnt as a result of that, Teri, having the coach and working through those issues of self-doubt? What are the main lessons that you've learnt along the way?
That everybody does need help at some time, and don't be afraid to ask for it. Don't be embarrassed to ask for it. And there are people out there that are willing to help you that you would never think that they are, and if you don't ask, you'll never know. And the worst that someone can tell you is, sorry, I'm busy right now, or they don't answer your email, and what are you out? You're not out anything. But so far, everyone that I've come in contact with, has been more than helpful. And so asking for help is very important, and being open to criticism. I welcome criticism. I love my family's support, but for them to just say, oh, you'll get it. Like with the procrastination again, and I should be writing something and I'm not. Oh, you'll get to it. And then poor Jason, I talk with him and he listens to this and he knows I'm procrastinating sometimes, and he tells me what I need to hear. He gets me going again. He asks me questions that make me think and figure it out for myself, which is so very important than having someone tell you what you should do. Figuring it out for yourself is just eye-opening. Then you really get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's what he does. He asks me questions and he has me figure it out for myself. So I getting a coach was probably the best thing I ever did. If I hadn't gotten a coach, I probably would have just quit.
Fantastic.
I probably would have.
Okay. Yeah. That's great advice. So actually, that's a great segue, Teri, into my next question, because we're going to move into the lightning round. But for you, what do you think is the biggest barrier to female entrepreneurship in today's society?
The biggest barrier, I firmly believe, is themselves, ourselves, the way we think negatively about ourselves, the way we think that we can't do something. You know, we have a lot on our plate. You know, we're the nurturers. We take care of everybody, but a lot of times we don't take care of ourselves. We don't do what we need to do to make, if we take care of ourselves, then everybody around us is happy.
Absolutely.
You know, but usually we take care of everyone else and we put ourselves on the back burner, you know? So I think that women need to, take care of themselves so that they feel good about themselves. They need to take all of their situation into consideration before they make a decision. But with all of the resources out there and everything that we have, there's no reason why a woman can't do anything that she wants to do. You know, she just needs to take her situation into consideration and take the path that she feels is right for her, her loved ones, her family. You know, and if that path doesn't work out, okay, no harm, no foul. There's another one that you can take, you know, just consider your situation again and just take another path, but don't beat yourself up. Yeah. You know, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it.
I love that. Yeah, that's so true. And it's interesting that you raised that, you know, because all my guests so far, when I've asked that question, have mentioned that women get in them, you know, we get in our own way all the time, and it's ourselves that are holding us back. So it's a really interesting point. Teri, so my next question then is kind of, who inspires you the most? Which woman inspires you the most and why?
Right now, I'm getting my inspiration, and I've been getting the inspiration from my mom. We just celebrated her 82nd birthday a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And, she's a cancer survivor, a 2-time cancer survivor. Okay. And, it happened late in her life. She was in her late 70s. And so, to me, she is inspiring. She's gone through some really tough challenges with loss, like we all have in the family, but it affected her the most. And she just keeps bouncing back. And I am just amazed at her strength and how hard she's working to get her health back and her emotional health also. And every time I see her, she's just an inspiration to me. So I would have to say that it's Mom.
That's incredible. I love that. It's, you know, as much as we want to make an impact on the rest of, you know, the rest of the community and the world at large, it's amazing how much, you know, our kind of inner circle of family really makes an impact on us. So really us creating these businesses that are making an impact are really going to make the impact on our next generation of family and friends as well. So I just think it's incredibly important, Teri.
Exactly. Yep. I agree with you completely.
So I'm going to end off with your favorite business quote. What's your favorite business quote and why?
I do have a favorite quote. It is by Venus Williams. It's a quote that I know it by heart, but it's embedded in me. So sometimes I actually forget the words. I just feel it, you know, but it is, just believe in yourself. Even if you don't, pretend that you do, and one day you will. And that is a quote that I live by, especially right now, because I'm still very unsure of what I'm doing. And even like this interview, boy, is that quote just floating through me right now because I was extremely nervous and you know, I hope it's not showing because I'm trying to pretend like it's not.
Not at all. You've been amazing. Amazing.
Oh, great. Thank you. But yeah, that is my quote. I mean, because you are as good as you think you are. So think that you're great, you know, and just go out there and do what you were meant to do.
Oh, Teri, I'm going to end on that because it's just beautiful, beautiful advice. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing interview. You have not appeared nervous one bit. The nuggets of gold that you've shared have been incredible. So thank you so much. Thank you. And I'd like to
thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Now, I would like to share where everybody can find you online, Teri, and I'll be sure to link to all of those on the show notes. So where can everybody find you?
Oh, okay, great. The website is terilynnhaas.com, and that is also the same for Twitter and Facebook. It is terilynnhaas.com. So it's just my name. That's it.
That's fantastic. Well, I'll be sure to link those up. And once again, thank you so much for the interview. It's been incredible.
Oh, thank you, Casey. It was an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, were inspired, had some aha moments, and a couple of takeaways that you can implement into your business today to start finding your voice and creating a business and life that you love.